Good evening, you're now with me, Handy Gray for TVS Nightline, and here are the headlines for tonight. A 70-year-old fisherman found dead after he was reported missing on Sunday. Palestine expresses gratitude to Malaysia for being vocal over the conflict in the country. Recent bomb strikes in Gaza have unearthed buried bodies. The flurry of Israeli bombardments at northern Gaza has unearthed multiple lifeless bodies that were buried underneath in previous attacks near the Jabalia camp. A video provided by the Palestinian Civil Force showed a horrifying scene where they were found lifeless bodies scattered all over the place, some of whom were their own deceased family members.
لقيت قبر ست وخالاتي واخواني هي جثة وما مش عارفين كيف ناخذهم في نص الليل هالقى بعد ما صارت الضربة. وش ذنبه يعني دفناهم هان مؤقت قبل ما تخلص الحرب ننقلهم على المقبرة. ايش ذنبها خالته تطلع هيك يعني؟ برضه يعودوا يقصفون كمان مرة ويطلعوا الجثة تبعتها هيك. ايش ذنبهم هالقى؟ وين نروح بعدها؟ وين ننقلهم هالقى؟ والله كيف ناخذهم؟
The soldier added that the bodies were recently recovered from under the rubble at a nearby ruin and were buried there. The experience of reburying the martyrs, particularly his family members, is one that he never imagined he would be doing. The health ministry in Hamas-run Gaza said on Monday that at least 30,534 people have been killed during the genocide in the Palestinian territory. A ministry statement said there were 124 fatalities over the past 24 hours, while another 71,980 people have been wounded since the genocide broke out on October 7th.
Israel's relentless attack was not limited to Gaza's northern strip. The Sarat camp located in central Gaza was bombed when many were asleep, killing civilians who had nothing to do with the resistance or any military action.
وهي اليوم طالعين شهداء في لسه ناس مش قادرين يتعرفوا عليهم لانه يعني ملامحهم مشوهه يعني والبيت يعني بالراحه يكون في بالراحه يمكن 30 ل 35 شهيد.
Many Palestinians saw their lives flash in front of them, but were grateful and expressed steadfastness in continuing their life, even though they are living in conditions that many would deem as unsuitable living conditions.
يعني في المنزل قاعدين الساعة تقريبا 8 في الليل. الزنانة عندنا شدت في المنطقة، صار عندنا يعني طيران بشكل مخيف. الزنانة شدت عندنا على الأخير، قلنا يعني خلص احنا هيك رحنا فيه.
Now, Palestine has thanked the Malaysian government and its people for their steadfast support for Palestine during the public hearings at the International Court of Justice (ICJ) Den Haag. Palestinian ambassador to Malaysia, Walid Abu Ali, said Malaysia was very vocal in delivering its oral submission over Israel's action at the ICJ on February 23rd and in demanding the regime to cease all of its international violations and withdraw immediately from Palestine.
Malaysia's Foreign Minister, Datuk Seri Muhammad Hassan, who made the statement, also listed down 4 key components of the Palestinian people's right to self-determination, namely territorial integrity, territorial unity, and the protection of integrity, permanent sovereignty over natural wealth and resources, as well as the freedom to pursue economic, social, and cultural development. Malaysia also emphasized the responsibility of all nations to back the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East, or UNRWA, and to halt any financial or military aid to Israel that contributes to the denial of the right to self-determination and the unlawful occupation. The ambassador also voiced profound concern for Palestinians in Gaza as the month of Ramadan approached, citing ongoing deadly attacks by Israel in the besieged enclave, and urged for an unconditional and immediate ceasefire in Gaza to enable the establishment of humanitarian corridors for delivering urgent aid to its people.
The body of a 70-year-old angler who went missing after his boat capsized on Sunday was recovered Monday afternoon, 50 meters from where the boat sank. The discovery was made around 3:20 p.m. by the Search and Rescue Operation SAR teams comprised of personnel from Batunia Fire and Rescue Station, Miri Civil Defence Force and villagers. The victim, identified as Lo Hon Chiu, was reportedly fishing for prawns when the boat suddenly capsized. An SAR was immediately launched around 12:50 p.m. on Sunday upon being alerted by villagers who spotted Lo in the water struggling to stay afloat. The body has been taken to Miri Hospital for post-mortem. Expect to pay more for electricity this month as Sarawak is not spared from the revised Sales and Services Tax (SST). Premier of Sarawak Dato' Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg said the new 8% SST rate for electricity consumption over 600 kilowatt hour effective 1st March applies to all states in Malaysia.
Kita nanggap implicationnya lah dari sudut undang-undang. Mungkin ada bagi exemption, we may not pay the service tax. But service tax is seluruh negara.
He told this to reporters after witnessing the swearing-in ceremony of 31 councillors for Gedong District Council on Monday. On February 28th, the federal government announced the details of its tax reforms, which included an increase in sales and service tax (SST) from 6% to 8% effective March 1st this year, and expected to generate an estimated additional 3 billion ringgit in revenue.
Now, the 2% increase in the sales and services tax (SST) from 6% to 8% will reflect a rather slight increase in the operational costs of businesses. But will these translate to an increase in goods prices as well? For restaurant owner Muhammad Afiq Wahid, he will give 2 months before deciding to revise the food prices sold at his restaurant.
Kita akan decide, kita akan buat keputusan macam mana sebab kalau kita terus nak naikkan harga menu ke apa, rasanya terlalu mendadak lah keputusan itu. Kita tengok dulu how can we cope with the cost, terlalu jauh ataupun tidak. We'll see first, dan kita pun tidak mahu membebankan pelanggan sebenarnya. And then kita ni F&B especially, it's not really a high margin, terlalu high margin punya business.
Echoing the same opinion, Shannon Lee, who is also a restaurant owner, said her restaurant will not immediately impose any price increment on her menu as well.
Of course it does, right, for our expenses side. Yeah, but that's why we maintain our price. We did not increase our price at the moment because we think that our price is, we go by quantity. Our quantity is quite big. Yeah, so even though the expenses may jack up a bit, but I think it's okay.
The proposed establishment of the Consulate General of the Republic of Singapore in Kuching is pending approval from Putrajaya. Singapore High Commissioner to Malaysia, Vanu Gopala Menon, revealed that the application has been submitted and that the matter was also raised by the Premier of Sarawak, Dato' Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg, at the 10th Malaysia-Singapore Leaders Retreat last November.
In fact, Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim told my Prime Minister that Premier Abang Jo had raised it with him, and the Prime Minister is okay with the idea of Singapore opening our consulate, and therefore we are putting the request, we're waiting for reply from the federal government.
He told the reporters after paying a courtesy call to the Premier at Wisma Bapa Malaysia on Monday. Additionally, the Singapore government also intends to set up a consulate general office in Kota Kinabalu. Previously, Abang Johari was reported as saying that the establishment of the Consulate General Mission will enhance bilateral trade and relations between Sarawak and Singapore.
Menon announced that Singapore's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Vivian Balakrishnan, is set to make an official visit to Sarawak this year to further strengthen the bilateral relations between the Republic and the region. According to him, the visit is also aimed at exploring investment opportunities in the land of the Hornbills.
My foreign minister is quite keen to make a trip to Sarawak and Sabah sometime in June or July. We're looking at that, possible dates to make the visit happen. And if so, I think we can build upon that relationship that we have with Sarawak, take it to a new level.
In related development, Singapore High Commissioner to Malaysia, Vanu Gopala Menon, stated that issues relating to the undersea power cables need to be resolved first to expedite the export of electricity from Sarawak to Singapore. He added that a consortium from the Republic has also expressed interest in collaborating with Sarawak in the renewable energy endeavour.
There's some issues that need to be sorted out, like laying of the cables and a few other details that need to be sorted out. I hope this can be sorted out quickly enough, and if so, then we can actually see the energy being sold from Sarawak to Singapore.
Previously, the Sarawak government has obtained the approval from the federal government in regards to the development of the 720 kilometers undersea power cables from Tondong to Singapore. The project will enable Sarawak to export up to 1,000 megawatts of electricity from clean and renewable sources.
The rise of citizen journalism in the new information landscape could potentially challenge the ethical standards practiced by media professionals. In this regard, Angkatan Zaman Mansang Azam reaffirms its commitment to navigate the disruptive realm through engagement sessions with the media. Its Deputy Chairman, Dr. Nur Hayati Muhammad Ismail, said the increasing presence of citizen journalists on social media has made the platform the primary channel for establishing the new narrative.
Nur Hayati's speech was read by Azam's member Ali Suhaili during Azam Sarawak Media Coffee Chat session entitled Spicing Up Sarawak, Journalism, Bridging Perspectives, Strengthening Communities event held this morning.
This is because fake news become the trend. According to statistics, MCMC received 3,111 complaints with regards to content deemed as fake news for 2020 from January 2020 to May 31st. All media organizations are facing a competitive scenario and the disruption of digitalization since media online and social media is the threat and alternative choice of the customers today, especially the millennials. We had seen almost all the traditional media runs together using the platform aggressively. If they didn't follow, they may be left behind.
Nur Hayati further expressed hope that the coffee chat would foster collaboration and facilitate the sharing of experiences among journalists, especially on the evolving news practices.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are confident that through an open communications, collaboration and a shared commitment to amplify the government agenda and the voices of diverse communities, we can achieve remarkable things together. I believe if the media, especially the journalists, deliver accurate news professionally and responsibly and maintain the quality and work within ethics, it can serve as a great force in building a nation.
The panelists included Rudy Effendi Khalik, Nancy Nice Xiaoping, Firdaus Arash Idris, Noratikah Muhammad Ashari, and Sarah Hafizah, moderated by Alice Wee alongside Ali Suhaili. Throughout the event, they deliberated on various key points such as the evolution of journalism, their experiences, and the impact of social media and artificial intelligence AI.
Coming up right after the break, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim calls for re-investigation of MH370. And on global news, Haiti on high alert after gang attack on prison. Right here on TVS Nightline, stay tuned. Hello there and welcome back. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said Malaysia is willing to reopen the investigation into the missing Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 should fresh and compelling evidence is found. His comments came ahead of the anniversary of the vanished airplane on March 8.
He said this in a joint press conference with Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese on Monday in conjunction with his official visit to Australia. On Sunday, Transport Minister Anthony Loke said the government is ready to talk with any interested parties to resume the search for the missing plane. The aircraft, carrying 239 people, disappeared from the radar on March 8, 2014, while en route to Beijing from Kuala Lumpur. Despite the largest search in aviation history, the plane has never been found and the operation was suspended in January 2017.
The Ministry of Transport will discuss with the Ministry of Finance MOH in regards to retaining the 6% service tax for domestic flights. Transport Minister Anthony Loke said the proposal for the matter will be brought up to the MOF during the Cabinet meeting this Friday.
I will discuss with MOF to see whether we can maintain the SST at 6% for domestic travel. This is something that I will take it up and discuss with the MOF. As SST is under the purview of Ministry of Finance. Kenaikan SST memang sudah pun dimulakan. MOF, saya akan bincang dengan MOF dalam minggu ni lah, masa kabinet.
Effective March 1st, the service tax has been increased to 8% from the previous 6%, following the tabling of Budget 2024 as part of the government's efforts to increase the country's financial resilience while reducing the budget deficit. However, the new rates exclude food and beverage, F&B services, telecommunications, and parking. Meanwhile, Capital A Chief Executive Officer Tan Sri Tony Fernandez suggested that maintaining the service tax at 6% for domestic travel should be considered, as tourism plays a big part in the country's economy and the industry has just recovered from the effects of COVID-19.
Despite the global economic slowdown and uncertainties in advanced economies, Malaysia is poised to achieve steady and structured economic growth this year. Global Chief Economist at Juwai IQI Shan Said projected the country's growth rate to be between 4.3% to 4.8% in 2024. According to Shan, the US Federal Reserve is likely to cut its interest rates more than 3 times this year as it tries to fend off recessionary fears and the impact of the trade war with China. In regards to the ringgit, he added the Malaysian currency is expected to trade between 4.17 and 4.44 against the US dollar in 2024, reflecting the country's economic fundamentals and external balances. Haiti's government declared a state of emergency and nighttime curfew on Sunday in a bid to regain control of the country after a deadly gang assault on the capital's main prison that allowed thousands of inmates to escape. The curfew will be enforced from 6 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the Quest region, which includes the capital, until Wednesday, adding that both the curfew and the state of emergency can be extended.
The government said the objective of the measures would be to allow it to re-establish order and take the appropriate measures to take back control of the situation. In the incident earlier, at least a dozen people died as gang members attacked the main prison National Penitentiary in Port-au-Prince overnight, Saturday into Sunday. The gangs say they want to oust Prime Minister Ariel Henry, who has led the Caribbean nation since the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse in 2021. Only around 100 of the National Penitentiary's estimated 3,800 inmates were still inside the facility after the gang assault overnight Saturday, with dozens of bodies outside it. In a statement, the Haitian government said police tried to repel the gang attack against that prison and at another facility. Known gang leaders and people charged in the assassination of Moïse were among those incarcerated in the main prison, located a few hundred meters from the National Palace.
Now, the construction of basic infrastructures for Indonesia's upcoming capital, Nusantara, has now reached 74% completion. Indonesian President Joko Widodo, during a two-day working visit to the city, stated that the country's presidential palace is set to operate from Nusantara as early as July this year. TVS Indonesian correspondent David Andres with more.
Presiden Indonesia Joko Widodo meninjau langsung pekarangan upacara dan istana kepresidenan di Ibu Kota Nusantara, Kalimantan Timur. Pemeriksaan dilakukan antara lain untuk memeriksa kesiapan peringatan kemerdekaan ke-79 Indonesia pada 17 Agustus 2024 nanti. Dalam kesempatan sama, ia menyebut kini pihaknya telah menyiapkan secara menyeluruh untuk pemindahan penjawat awam atau ASN yang akan berkhidmat di Nusantara pada peringkat pertama. Dirinya berkata, pemindahan itu akan dilakukan secara berperingkat selaras dengan penyediaan kemudahan sokongan ASN dan memastikan bahwa seluruh fasilitas dan perkhidmatan awam perlu siap sepenuhnya. Pembinaan infrastruktur asas Nusantara yang telah mencecah 74% membuat Jokowi semakin optimis ke atas pembinaan yang berjalan. Malah, ia telah merancang untuk mempunyai pejabat dan memulakan perkhidmatannya pada Juli nanti untuk bekerja di Nusantara, sebaik saja infrastruktur sokongan pengangkutan di sana siap.
ASN ini akan dipindah secara bertahap karena kita harus menyiapkan fasilitas-fasilitas pendukung, misalnya perumahan, itu yang paling penting. Kemudian sekolah untuk anak-anak beliau-beliau yang pindah ke sini, rumah sakit kalau ada yang sakit misalnya. Sehingga semuanya ini harus mengelola manajemen seperti ini tidak gampang. Ini yang sedang kita siapkan. Juli.
Oh, Bapak Juli. Oke.
Saya nunggu airportnya jadi, jalan tolnya jadi. Kalau jalan tolnya jadi, airportnya jadi.
Dengan rencana itu, beliau juga yakin bahwa hal itu akan memberikan kesan peningkatan jumlah pelaburan di ibu negara baru itu, sehingga akan mempercepatkan proses pembangunan Nusantara yang mengikut anggaran dijangka akan mengambil masa sekurang-kurangnya 1 dekade. Pada kesempatan itu juga, Jokowi melancarkan majelis pecah batu bagi pembangunan beberapa bangunan pejabat bank di daerah keuangan Nusantara yang nantinya akan menyokong konsep bandar pintar, memandangkan bank-bank itu akan membawa sistem perbankan digital termaju mereka.
Wrapping up the Nightline, 3 alleged people smugglers were in custody in France following the death of a 7-year-old girl who was in a UK-bound migrant boat overcrowded with children. Prosecutors in the northern French city of Dunkirk said the suspects were aboard the overloaded small boat when it capsized on Sunday in the AA Canal around 30 kilometers from France's northern coast.
Based on the report, among the passengers in the capsizing were 10 children aged 7 to 13 and 6 adults. People attempting to reach Britain have increasingly been boarding boats on inland waterways to avoid stepped-up patrols on the French coast. The latest death of a migrant trying to reach Britain followed just days after a 22-year-old Turkish man was killed and 2 more people went missing in the English Channel off Calais. A total of 78 migrants attempting to cross to Britain were pulled from the sea by French rescuers overnight from Saturday to Sunday.
See the world closer with TVS as we bring you the latest news updates both locally and internationally. For more headlines anytime, anywhere, just head on to our official website at tvsarawak.my or follow us on our social media platforms. Those were the updates on TVS Nightline. I'm Handy Gui. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.